Hi there, and welcome to Wits News, where we ask ourselves, what is this shit? I'm your host, Ole. Now let's get into some shit news. Alright, so this is making its rounds. It was originally shared on Joe Rogan. It's kind of just going around. I've seen it a few times, and, it just kind of makes so much sense. Really kind of explains what's going on today, and, it's kind of funny if you just replace the word devil with the word government, or even the democratic government, or the elite government, Republicans and Democrats, obviously the devils that seem to be running the country. Like I said, it's been making its rounds for a while, almost about 38 freaking years. So if you compare the times to from now to back then when it came out, spot on. There's another Paul Harvey video, and it's called A Letter from God, and we'll listen to that one after.
If I were the devil, if I were the devil, if I were the prince of darkness, I'd want to engulf the whole world in darkness, and I'd have a third of its real estate and four-fifths of its population, but I wouldn't be happy until I had seized the ripest apple on the tree, thee. So I'd set about, however necessary, to take over the United States. I'd subvert the churches first. I'd begin with a campaign of whispers. With the wisdom of a serpent, I would whisper to you as I whispered to Eve, do as you please. To the young, I would whisper that the Bible is a myth. I would convince them that man created God instead of the other way around. I would confide that what's bad is good and what's good is square.
Let's get back to the future. Marty, don't be such a square. As his mom's handing him the bottle. Got to make out with him in the back seat.
And the old I would teach to pray after me, Our Father, which art in Washington. And then I'd get organized. I'd educate authors in how to make lurid literature exciting so that anything else would appear dull and uninteresting. I'd threaten TV with dirtier movies and vice versa. I'd peddle narcotics to whom I could. I'd sell alcohol to ladies and gentlemen of distinction. I'd tranquilize the rest with pills. If I were the devil, I'd soon have families at war with themselves, churches at war with themselves, and nations at war with themselves, until each in its turn was consumed. And with promises of higher ratings, I'd have mesmerizing media fanning the flames. If I were the devil, I would encourage schools to refine young intellects, but neglect to discipline emotions. Just let those run wild. Until before you knew it, you'd have to have drug-sniffing dogs and metal detectors at every schoolhouse door. Within a decade, I'd have prisons overflowing. I'd have judges promoting pornography. Soon I could evict God from the courthouse, then from the schoolhouse, and then from the houses of Congress. And in his own churches, I would substitute psychology for religion and deify science. I would lure priests and pastors into misusing boys and girls and church money. If I were the devil, I'd make the symbol of Easter an egg and the symbol of Christmas a bottle. If I were the devil, I'd take from those who have and give to those who wanted until I had killed the incentive of the ambitious. And what'll you bet? I couldn't get whole states to promote gambling as the way to get rich. I would caution against extremes in hard work, in patriotism, in moral conduct. I would convince the young that marriage is old-fashioned, that swinging is more fun, that what you see on TV is the way to be. And thus I could undress you in public, and I could lure you into bed with diseases for which there is no cure. In other words, if I were the devil, I'd just keep right on doing what he's doing. Paul Harvey. Good day.
Well, I guess you can see why God isn't allowed in Portland anymore. So here we go. A letter from God, Paul Harvey.
From now on, I'm quoting an open letter from God. My dear children, and believe me, that is all of you, I consider myself a pretty patient guy. I mean, look at the Grand Canyon. It took millions of years to get it right. And about evolution, boy, nothing is slower than designing that whole Darwinian thing to take place, cell by cell and gene by gene. And I have been patient through your fashions, your civilizations, wars, and schemes, and the countless ways that you take me for granted until you get yourselves into big trouble again and again. I want to let you know about some of the things that started ticking me off. First of all, your religious rivalries are driving me up a wall. Enough already. Let's get one thing straight. These are your religions, not mine. I'm the whole enchilada. I'm beyond them all.
Yeah, it's weird 'cause I always say I like to believe in God. I've always had a big problem with organized religion. It's always been what's pushed me away. It always just seemed like some big money scam to me. I could be wrong, but to me it seems like I'd rather be outside in the rain on a picnic bench, with maybe a little bit of cover, listen to somebody preach instead of paying 10% of my income to sit inside a big old fancy building. I don't know what kind of church does that, but
Every one of your religions claims that there's only one of me, which, by the way, is absolutely true, but in the very next breath, each religion claims that it's my favorite one, and each claims its Bible was written personally by me, and that all of the other Bibles are man-made. Oh, me.
yeah, say all Bibles are written by men. They are all written by men. All written by man, all rewritten by man, all rewritten by man, and rewritten by man.
How do I ever begin to put a stop to such complicated nonsense? All right. Listen up now. I am your father and mother, and I don't play favorites among my children. Also, I hate to break it to you, but I don't write. My longhand is awful, and I've always been more of a doer anyway. So all of your books, including those Bibles, were written by men and women. They were inspired men and women. They were remarkable people, but they also made mistakes here and there, and I made sure of that so that you would never trust a written word rather than your own living heart. You see, one human being to me, even a bum on the street, is worth more than all of the holy books in the world. That's just the kind of a guy I am. My spirit is not an historical thing. It's alive, right now, as fresh as your next breath. Holy books and religious rites are sacred and powerful, but they are not more so than the least of you. They were only meant to steer you in the right direction, not to keep you arguing with each other, and certainly not to keep you from trusting your own personal connection with me. Which brings me to my next point about your nonsense. You act like I need you and your religions to stick up for me or win souls. For my sake, please don't do me any favors. I can stand quite well on my own, thank you. I don't need you to defend me. I don't need constant credit. I just want you to be good to each other.
I never really understood the whole worship, worship, worship. I'm not worthy, and all that kind of crap. I just never understood that. I think that's a big part of what always pushed me away from religion. I just never really understood that part. You talk to God in your heart and your head. You can read the Bible if you want. To me, the Bible is just, kind of hearsay, she say. What I don't believe what anybody tells me nowadays. I don't understand why. I really wouldn't believe what somebody says. As far as what John Jacob Jingleheimer Smith said, 1,000 years ago, I don't really. It's hard for me to buy into a lot of that stuff. Yeah, but I think the Bible, it's a really good guide, for a lot of people who need something to help guide them. You know, but as far as for me, it's pretty easy to be good to one another. If you're nice to me, I'm nice to you, and I think that's all God really wants in return. You know, love thy neighbor.
And another thing, I don't get all worked up over money or politics, so stop dragging my name into your dramas. For example, I swear to me that I never threatened Oral Roberts. I never rode in any of Rajneesh's Rolls Royces, and I never told Pat Robertson to run for president. And I have never, ever had a conversation with Jim Baker or Jerry Falwell or Jimmy Swaggart. Of course, come Judgment Day, I certainly intend to. Now, the thing is, I want you to stop thinking of religion as some sort of a loyalty pledge to me. The true purpose of your religions is so that you can become more aware of me, not the other way around. Believe me, I know you already. I know what's in each of your hearts. And I love you anyway, with no strings attached. So lighten up and enjoy me. That's what religion's best for. What you seem to forget is how mysterious I am. You look at the petty differences in your scriptures and you say, well, if this is the truth, then that can't be. But instead of trying to figure out my paradoxes and unfathomable nature, which, by the way, you never will, why not open your hearts to the simple common threads of every religion? You know what I'm talking about. Play nice with each other. Love and respect everyone. Be kind. Even when life is scary or confusing, take courage and be of good cheer, for I'm always with you. And learn how to be quiet so that you can hear my still small voice. I don't like to shout.
Something I need to
Leave the
learn.
world a better place by living your life with dignity and gracefulness. For you are my own child. Hold back nothing from life. For the parts of you that can die surely will, and the parts that can't won't. So don't worry. Be happy. I stole that last line from Bobby McFerrin, but who gave it to him in the first place? Simple stuff now. Why do you keep making it so complicated? It's like you're always looking for an excuse to be upset. And I am very tired of your main excuse. Do you think I care whether you call me God or Yahweh or Jehovah, Allah, Wakatonka, Brahma, Father, Mother, even the void of Nirvana? Do you think I care which of my special children you feel closest to? Jesus, Mary, Buddha, Krishna, Muhammad, or any of the others? You can call me and my special ones any name you choose, if only you will go about my business of loving one another as I love you.
Just to be
How
good
can
to
you
one
keep
another.
neglecting something so simple? No, I am not telling you to abandon your religions. Enjoy your religions. Honor them. Learn from them. Just as you should enjoy, honor, and learn from your parents. But do you walk around telling everyone that your parents are better than theirs? Your religion, like your parents, may always have the most special place in your heart. I don't mind that at all. And I don't want you to combine all of the great traditions into one big mess. Each religion is unique for a reason. Each has a unique style so that people can find the best path for themselves. But, my special children, the ones that your religions revolve around, all live in the same place, in my heart. And they get along perfectly, I assure you. The clergy must stop creating a myth of sibling rivalry where there is none. My blessed children of earth, the world has grown too small for your pervasive religious bigotries and confusion. The whole planet is now connected by air travel, satellite dishes, telephones, fax machines, rock concerts, diseases, and mutual needs and concerns.
So they had fax machines back in 1965. We got internet now, big dog.
Get with the program. If you really want to help me celebrate the birthday of my son Jesus, then commit yourselves to figuring out how to feed your hungry and clothe your naked and protect your abused and shelter your poor. And just as important, make your own everyday life a shining example of kindness and good humor.
See, that makes a lot of sense to me because with all the, the big fancy buildings with crosses on them, all these big ass churches around, and, back when I was homeless when I was younger, none of those places really convinced me that that was, you know, what I needed to look into in life. And when I really started learning about God and stuff, when I actually, started paying attention, it was, when I was homeless in Colorado and they had, or like this five church thing where, they would feed the homeless out in the, on the picnic benches out in the park in the rain and shit. And, they would sit there and preach, and that's, that's more, that's where I kind of learned to listen. Instead of, just some big fancy building where people come and play dress up and, it's kind of like a fashion show and, whatnot. I mean, singing stuff's cool, but you could do that outside too. I don't know, maybe I'm just different, but I just never really, that just never really appealed to me, the big fancy church thing.
I've given you all of the resources you need if only you abandon your fear of each other and begin living and loving and laughing together. Finally, my children everywhere, remember whose birthday you honor on what you call Christmas Day, December 25, and the fearlessness with which he chose to live and die. As I love him, so do I love each of you. Now, I am not really ticked off. Not really. I just wanted to grab your attention because I hate to see you suffer. But I gave you free will, so what can I do now other than try to influence you through reason persuasion, and a little old-fashioned guilt and manipulation. After all, I am the original Jewish mother. I just want you to be happy. And I'll sit in the dark. I really am, indeed, I swear, with you always, always. Trust in me. Your one and only God. End quote.
Man, this Paul Harvey guy is kind of a pretty smart guy, huh? I'd like to join his church.
Paul Harvey. Good day.
So that's shared by Brad Dyson quite a while ago. Pretty interesting stuff, though. I'm pretty, I'm a big, strong believer in, Christian values and all this and that. I believe it kind of gives a guide that people need to do good and, help one another and all this and that. But as far as big organized religion, I've just never been a fan. I think if more people kind of push, this guy's beliefs right here, then maybe more people be willing to you know, follow certain guidelines that are set forth by religion. You know, most religions, anyways. There's not all mark just not all mark great. You go to the other side of the world, and they fuck it. All right, well, that was a little dance with the devil and a little letter from God. Interesting stuff, especially for something that's like what 38 years old. Smart guy. Till next time.